The cold, hard facts are that silver has gone down nearly 9.5% in the last year, and gold has gone up by 7.5%. Quite the difference in return on these two metals. But it does now make me think about what's ahead for them both. And in my opinion, silver has much more potential right now than gold. Everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining me for another precious metal ramble. Now, with the cost of living rising seemingly week on week, we are seeing massive increases in prices for pretty much everything at the moment. Oil and gas, food, heating, everything is going up. With the exception, though, it seems, of silver. Now, if we take a year-long look at the charts for silver, we're actually down nearly 9.5%, which is quite a lot when you think about it. Now, silver is a volatile market commodity. It goes up, it goes down, it goes left and right. It's hard to predict and nobody really truly knows. But we have seen around the world these really high rates of inflation and the increase in the cost of living. And it doesn't seem to be filtering through to the raw material prices of silver. Now, premiums, on the other hand, have gone up, and that's something we'll touch on in this video. But gold, on the other hand, is certainly something to look at in terms of that relative relationship with silver. And when you compare gold over the course of a year, you are actually up close to 7.5 to 8%. So the sheer relative value of these two has definitely changed. Their relationship has shifted within this last year. And I think it proves that there is certainly this interesting period that we're going through right now where silver is certainly seeming more attractive to buy than gold. These two big movements, these two big numbers, I should say, that have happened over this last year, with silver dropping down nearly 9.5% and gold going up 7.5%, represents, in my mind, an opportunity for silver to correct itself or for gold to come down. So how does that affect us as stackers? Well, I can't really tell you exactly what's right for your circumstances, but I can talk a little bit about what I'm thinking about when it comes to buying silver and gold for that long-term stack. So I do want to make it abundantly clear that I'm not here to give financial advice. I'm just sharing some thoughts and observations that I've got that are relative to me and how they work for me. And I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. So hit that comment section and also hit the like button if you're enjoying our presentation. So I do think we're in this interesting period now where silver has certainly, relative to gold, underperformed over this last year. You've just got to look at everything in the world going up in price. Silver's low. Silver is lower than where it was a year ago, even when you look back 3 or 4 months before all of the big changes in the geopolitical world that we're seeing in Europe right now. You know, there is a lot of argument to be said, well, why hasn't silver price gone up quite considerably when everything else is? You know, we're in this post-pandemic world where the world's opened up for business as best as we all can, and it really, the world's struggling. You hear these bandied around terms of supply chains trying to keep up, demand suddenly being up there, production not being able to keep up, and the lag time for a lot of the production of raw material commodities like gold, silver, oil, gas, and all of the other metals that we use within industry, copper, tin, all of that. There is this lag time for that to be brought to the market. And with the delays, of course, from supply chain issues, that seems to have certainly kind of lagged behind from compared with things like lumber and the likes. It does say to me that there's this like reduction in demand for silver in the world right now, this industry. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of industrial uses for silver, and I've talked about those a lot in the past on my channel. And one of the big ones, of course, is going to be renewable energy and solar, and I do think that that is going to have a big impact going forward. So we're in this interesting situation where silver right now is low relative to gold, and that sparks my interest because it does represent, in my mind, this opportunity. If I'm looking to buy one of the two metals right now, and I'm looking to buy, let's say I'm looking to buy another 50 pesos to add to my collection of them, if I can ever get to that wonderful Backyard Bullion blunderbuss, I'm calling it, a roll of them. Right now it represents a really high price, I think, in my mind. Some of the highest prices of gold spot that I've bought at are relative to this. I think the highest was about £1,530 an ounce when I bought some of the newer Britannias last year. And right now, again, buying at the all-time highs for gold doesn't necessarily fit that well with me. And especially when you compare it with things like silver that have gone down quite considerably. That brings, in my mind, this relationship ratio that I'm looking at here. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, there's one of two things that's going to happen. Either silver is going to go up drastically to kind of close that gap, to see that return come back. It has been higher. It's been $28, $29 an ounce, 22, 23 pounds an ounce. There's room for growth there. So there's one option for that to happen. Or the second option is that silver stays relatively stagnant where it is, but gold comes down. And for me, I feel like that's more of the likely scenario right now. We are, of course, in this really strange kind of geopolitical situation within the world right now. And if that starts to become more of the norm, part of, I know it's hard to ignore, but general day-to-day life of that situation, we will, I think, eventually start seeing gold come down as the world kind of moves away from that, oh God, it's needed to be safe haven type assets. So there's definitely, I think, room for gold to come down quite considerably over the next coming weeks and months and probably over the course of the year. Now, one of the big things about gold and silver that is talked about is this rate of inflation that we're all seeing, this rise in the cost of living. And I personally think that the reason why we haven't seen massive growth in silver and gold, we've seen some growth in gold, yes, that's 7.5% over the course of a year, but it's nowhere near what the sort of inflation rate is thought to be, the true inflation rate. Now, I kind of feel like, and there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me on this, that this idea of transient inflation, I think, is genuinely true. I think a lot of these higher costs that we're seeing right now are, of course, due to some of the bigger geopolitical situations in the world, the supply chain issues, the demand, the sudden huge demand from this post-pandemic opening. So I do feel that there is going to be this, hopefully, reduction in the cost of living prices. Now, whether or not that's going to happen quickly or slowly is anybody's guess, and in my opinion, I think it will happen very slowly. There's no real incentive for a lot of these big organizations to reduce their prices quickly when they can lock customers into like heating contracts and things for a year. There is no incentive for that for them at all, and they want to try and protect their businesses, which is, I think, a shame. But I do think that there will be a general, maybe perhaps not back down to where we were before all of this, but I do think there will be a slow decline back and a leveling off of the cost of living crisis that's happening. And as that happens, I do think we'll see this more equalization of where things really actually are rather than where a lot of people think and hope they're going to be. And that's reflected, I think, in the markets for precious metals and for silver. Now, I'm not a market expert. I'm not really an economist on this. This is just my opinion. This is just what I kind of have assembled in my mind as my rationale for why I think silver is not currently at this, $30 an ounce, £50, $50 an ounce, £50 an ounce, £100 an ounce. It's not there, and it's not going to get there either, because this is not reflective of a kind of true, shift in the price of everything in the world right now. There are certain things that cost a lot more, but there are also these things which don't cost a lot more right now. And that, I think, is why silver is not necessarily where a lot of people hope and expect it to be. So in terms of right now buying gold and silver for my own circumstances, the honest answer is I'm kind of holding off. Certainly right now, the idea for me is accumulating more gold over a long term because we've got taxes to factor in here in the United Kingdom. It's always a shame to throw money away when you're putting money into an investment, and in my opinion, the taxes that we put onto silver can be that. But that said, even with the VAT, the sales tax that goes on top of this stuff here in the UK, right now, if someone put a gun to my head and say you have to buy some precious metals now, I would buy silver. I really would. Now, that's very different to what I said a couple of months ago, where I said I'm done with silver. But when you look back at those prices, even just a couple of months ago, gold was very, very much more affordable relative to silver, in my opinion. When we were back, in sort of the later part of 2021, gold was sitting around the $1,750 an ounce mark. That's a significant difference to where we are today. And silver, of course, was relatively stagnant there. We're talking hundreds of pounds an ounce difference. And, I do firmly think that there is going to be an equalization coming in the not too distant future, and we're going to see either gold come down or silver go up massively. And if that happens, then there's two things that are great. You can buy silver now and you can cash in on some of those rises. But then if gold goes down, you can exchange that for that, the silver for gold, and that's what it's all about for me. So for right now, I'm kind of holding fire. If gold starts to dip down, and silver goes up, I will be thinking about liquidating some of my silver to help fund the purchase of gold. And that's one of the things that I'm waiting for. And I'm seeing a lot of people thinking about doing that as well, because when you look at silver over a course of a year, as I said, going down nearly 9.5%, that's quite a drop. That is quite the drop, and it's certainly underperforming, I think, for what a lot of people think. Now, that doesn't factor premiums, and I do want to just quickly touch on premiums here on this last part of the video, because I said I'd mention it. Premiums, a lot of people say, reflect the inherent, basically cost of living increase on this stuff. So we're seeing a lot of big institutions and dealers really hiking up premiums on coins. I've not got any out here on the table, but for example, US Eagles, massive premiums on those coins. And that is, I think, part of the problem that we're facing right now. There are a lot of dealers out there that are chucking humongous premiums on their coins, but then not giving them back when customers come to buy them. If you've not checked out Silver Seeker's channel, I'm going to link it down in the description below. He has been doing an incredible series of research-style phone call videos to different coin shops and dealers out there, asking about buy prices and sell prices. And it's been really interesting. I've been watching every single one with real interest, and it's highly worth you guys watching to see what the real cost of, I think, living increase on silver is. And that cash, that money, is not due to the supply chain issues. A lot of these dealers are saying they can't get Eagles from the mint or from their suppliers, from their wholesalers, for less than $10 premium each. I'm not going to overtly say that everybody's lying. Yeah, there will be some suppliers and wholesalers that can't supply for less than that. But when you see a dealer that is offering spot for Eagles or a few dollars over spot for Eagles and then charging $15, $16, $17 over spot for Eagles, there's something there that isn't quite right. Now, there are some good dealers out there and good shops out there, and that's what Silver Seeker has also demonstrated, that it's worth shopping around. But goodness me, right now, this kind of premium game, this cost of living game is just, I think, it's a bit of a hype, if I'm being completely honest, and it's not something I agree with massively. There are certain things which deserve premiums, like coins like this 10-ounce dragon here, and in the right market, this will go for a significant premium over spot price. But honestly, it's not reflective of what's actually right, I think, in the markets right now. Now, I could be completely wrong, and that opinion could be very different to yours, and it's one of the reasons I make these types of videos and the style that I do, just talking and rambling at the camera. So I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. If you are one of my long-term watchers and you're my BYB Rambling Society, the kind of person who watches to minute 13 of my rambles, then let me know down in the comments. It's always fun to hear and see whether or not you listen to the end. Otherwise, that's it from me. Just a quick reminder to hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all for watching. It really is amazing that you guys support our channel in the way that you do, and I really appreciate it. So we'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.